having a sex change operation is certainly as bad, if not worse, than having going to therapy to have a psychological change from homosexual to heterosexual. I'm saying that if they're going to ban therapy for homosexuals, they should ban operations. And supposedly that these operations are a swindle. It's the equivalent of going to a religious revival run by Elmer Gantry. Elmer Gantry was this religious fraud. Well, these doctors that give these people sex change operations, they're medical versions of Elmer Gantry. They're taking people's money. And one more thing, that reminds me, I've heard on the radio where it turns out that a lot of these people that are having these sex change operations are getting money from so-called charities that get money from the government. So your tax money is going to pay for these sex change operations, which turn male homosexuals into these sirens that seduce men by looking like women and being women on the outside, but being males on the inside. You know, giving up your genitals, it's a little bit like what our government is doing. We've given up something that's like male genitals. Our nuclear arsenal is male-like in the sense that nuclear missiles are phallic shaped, phallic in shape, and we've actually given them up to the extent that we're inviting a Russian attack on this country. And I would say it's just as wrong-headed for us to give up the arsenal that we had, which protected us for a generation. And now we're giving it up because supposedly Russia is no longer a threat. And so what is the new threat? Well, the nuclear weapons themselves are considered by liberals the main threat. And so what is the solution? Get rid of the missiles. And so our government under Obama, you know, the great peace president, went out of its way to reduce our arsenal. And now we finally have crossed the threshold where we're finally at the point where Russia can destroy our arsenal, the arsenal that is left. And so they're going to hit us, and it's going to be later this year, 2018, I would have to say 2018 really has to be the year of Judgment Day, and which is also the same day as the rapture. And why would it have to be this year? Well, Christ said it would be within one generation from a certain point, starting point. And the starting point, he says, when these things begin, look up the point where these things begin. It's actually the point where he says the rule by the Gentiles over the land of Israel, that would come to an end. which means it's the beginning of Jewish rule. So that's the beginning. And so if we use that as the starting point of the generation, that means we take 1948, when Israel returned, and then we add a generation. People thought in terms of 40 years, well, nothing happened in 1988. So we have to shift over to 70 years. And so you take 1948, you add 70, you come up with 2018. So going by what Christ said in Luke 21, I think it was verse 32, he said, this generation. So starting from this generation, starting from when the Jews return. And so we really have this year. And like I'm trying to tie this all together, part of the reason why God will punish this country is because of what this man did. His name is Simmons. He was a professor at Longwood. I don't think he's still teaching at Longwood. I think he's got a job running the gay center, running the LGBT room or center for the students that are of that persuasion. And they're actively trying to persuade students to go in that direction. It's an abomination. And so when it happens, when a Russian attack happens, just remember that there's a reason why God allowed this great judgment day to take place. If you want to contact me through Gmail, it's joegrace@gmail.com. JOEGRACE@gmail.com.